means that any person who gets, cancer, 78.5% of those guys die. They can't survive. They die.
Yeah.
78.5%.
That's a huge percentage.
That's a huge number. That's a huge number.
Huge,
and
yeah.
it goes back to what you said, that men are not willing to, speak about it.
Yeah.
Men are not willing to, go and seek medical attention.
Sure.
And making this number, grow and become a big number. 78.5% is a big number. A big number. Another study by ACS, the American Cancer Society, estimates that 670 men will die from the disease. That is in 2019, compared to 210 women. Can you see that disparity?
Yeah, that's a huge disparity.
Men are more prone to, being affected by, cancer.
Yeah.
Wow. And it still go back to the same thing. And we don't want to talk about these issues.
Yeah, we are very quiet. It's like, and I think, just to point out, I have seen a few patients with prostate cancer, and I've noted that most of them will come to hospital when it's advanced.
It's too late.
It's too late.
It's too late, yes.
It's actually too late. I actually, earlier this year, I lost my grandpa. He had prostate cancer.
Wow.
But the funny thing was that it was diagnosed at the last stage, but he had had the problem for years, and he did not speak out. You see, he only went to hospital when things were
too late.
Yeah, it was too late. So I think it's important. It's very, very important to state that we need to encourage men above 40 years old. Get tested. It's a blood test. It's a blood test nowadays.
It's so easy.
It's
like
so easy.
I think you talk about being invasive, and I think men and secrecy and all that stuff. They don't want to be,
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. So the men have a higher rate of dying from cancer than women. Yes, I think it's because they're not willing to speak out.
Yeah.
These issues, that are affecting them. So by the time you're going to the hospital, it's at stage 4.
Yeah,
it's very dangerous to treat.
And we need to say this, James. I think this is something that people have not come to terms with. Cancer is not a death sentence.
Oh, yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
When it's caught early, there's treatment. Treatment is available when it's caught early, and prognosis is very good when it's caught early. So there's always hope, and that is why we encourage people to get tested. The other day in Citizen, they were interviewing some man who had stomach cancer, but it was caught at stage 1B, and now he's surviving. He was treated, and now he's okay. So I think people need to know that being tested being tested very early is for your own good.
Sure. Wow, amazing. This is we spoke about prostate cancer. Then we spoke about esophageal cancer. But I think they all affect men. And also there's something you had told me about the group that is more prone to, let's say, prostate cancer, to testicular cancer. Is there a kind of is it am I prone based on my age? Is there predisposed? Am I more predisposed by the fact that I'm maybe aged or I'm younger?
Yeah, well, with cancers, not just prostate cancer, most of them, we have many risk factors. There's not one factor you can really point out and say, this is why so-and-so got cancer. So you'll find like age is one of them. You find most of the patients with prostate cancer are those older men, and you find most of them that are really affected are the ones that are above 60 years old, but you can get even younger patients, and when it comes to younger patients, it's very aggressive. Then you'll find like cancers, like testicular cancers, you rarely find them in older men. You find them in younger men, like 20 years. So age is a factor, and there's also positive family history. And when we did the broadcast on breast cancer last month, we say that if a patient has positive family history, they should definitely get annual checkups. You know, positive family history means someone in your family has had that cancer before. So that is also puts one at risk. I don't want to say you. Pastor Jeff told us don't give bad examples with yourself.
Sure.
So puts one at risk. Then we have things like lifestyle. I told you about, I think it's our nutritionist Sylvia who shared on that other broadcast that people should stop going for nyama choma every now and then, and I know someone just shifted to look. So people should stop, you know, check your diet, have a balanced diet. Alcohol, smoking, all those things puts one at risk of this, not just cancer by the way, these lifestyle diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure. Your diet is very
important.
Key. Yeah, so you find, and then you also find some very rare form of cancer that men don't think they can get is breast cancer. Breast cancer actually, 1% of the patients with breast cancer are actually men. I know that comes as a shock, but it's true. It's true because men have breast tissue. It's just that they don't have a lot of breast tissue. So when this kind of cancer occurs in men, it tends to be more aggressive because they have less breast tissue, so the cancer is going to spread quite quickly. You see? Yeah, so we should all be aware that these things of self-examination and going for checkups should be taken very seriously. I find it, especially in our Christian circles, I sometimes I don't know how to react when I find people saying they don't need those tests.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know how to react to that because I don't want to tell them that being a person of faith is not equivalent to being foolish. You know.
That need to be said louder.
You should, and you know, just because you're a person of faith, you should also take a balanced diet. You know, you should take care of your body.
You should
take care of your body.
Yes. Wow. So you're saying even the issue of genetics, diet also contributes to. Wow. This is amazing, Frida. And I think we can continue. I think we just wanted to raise that sort of awareness so that men understand that we are dying, we as men, more than women, and the underlying factor is women are able to speak out these things. They notice a lump on their body and they're able to seek medical attention. But what do we do as men? We self-medicate.
Especially that one.
You know, like what I told you last week. I feel like
this guy went to a chemist and asked the pharmacist to give him antibiotics for 2 days. Who does that? He wanted to take antibiotics for 2 days, and yet you have to do antibiotics for 5 or 7 days. But he wanted a prescription for 2 days.
Instant gratification. I spoke about it. I'll never repeat that.
You shouldn't.
The doctor told me no. I was like, what? Who refuses money? But this one did. So I went home and I think that it's very important, Frida, to understand that let's not just trust self-medication. If you notice that you have a problem, seek medical attention. Doesn't mean you're weak. That you care about you and you care about your family. The people who are in your life that are important. That's why you go to the hospital. Yes, Frida.
So James, I really want to let you go. So that you can have this discussion, and please, when you get there, tell me if it's Investor Mas I saw or it's someone else that resembles him. And so we are talking about mental health, we are talking about depression, suicide, all those issues that affect men that, you know, these are conversations that not many people want to talk about, especially men don't want to come out and talk about their health issues. They think this is a conversation that should come last after we've talked about everything else. But no, this is a very, very important conversation. So invite your friends, and we can see all of you that are tuned in. Ronika Bwama, Miriam Dirango, Magdalene Zisa, Maxwell Waziri, Joki Joyce. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thanks so much, guys. I want to jump over that.
Yes.
And then advance this conversation with some men. Don't go away, we're coming back to you, right? All right. So take a short break, and then I'll be joined by 2 other gentlemen, and we'll be advancing this conversation. So see you in a few.
You are watching The Convo with Dr. Frida and James Wetu. Convo, encouraging conversation that matter.
So good. Here again, and I'm joined by, two gentlemen here. I'll be introducing them, or I'll be asking them to introduce themselves. And I just want to, remind you that, we're in November, and in November, every 19th of November, we, celebrate what we call International Men's Day. And basically, it's just a way of appreciating and recognizing the contributions men are making in our society. And the theme for this year was better health for men and boys. And so it then means that it's very important that we, hold this conversation, advance this conversation to the issues that are affecting men. And that's why today we decided to, hold this conversation, and let's, as men, speak out and say, talk about the issues that are affecting us as men, plus also reaching out to other men, maybe younger than us, just to be able to help each other. Because for so long, men have been told they are strong, but like what we are discussing with Frida, the cases of cancer, quite a number of men are dying. And the reason why they're dying because they don't want to communicate. They don't want to, reach out. And so at the end of the day, they find that so many of us are dying. And so that's why we want to, speak about this, raise awareness, and maybe even reach out to even more men about these issues that are affecting us. So in the moment, I want to, introduce to you my two guests. And on my, right, I have my friend, Simon Modhaka. Simon, good evening.
Good evening to you, James.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Great, it's good to have you.
Thank you.
Yes, and on my left here, I have our investor, our able John Mwangi, John Boga. We were with him sometime back on our show. John, how are you?
I'm well, James.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Good.
And I'm excited to steer this conversation.
Great.
Yeah.
I believe that you guys are all prepared about this conversation. Women don't really speak about so much.
That's true. That's true.
So, all right. So I want us to maybe just share with you some statistics, and I know you maybe have come across these statistics. So in 2017, the suicide rate for men was 3.5 times higher than it was for women. That's according to Center of Disease Control. And in Kenya, out of 421 cases, reported, that is, actually from Jan to July this year, 330 involve men. That's over 80%. It's men. And that is fascinating. And some other statistics, that is in 2016. That's just almost 3 or 4 years. According to World Health Organization, the estimated cases of suicide is 783,000 suicide cases worldwide, most of which are men. And it has now statistically proven that men are more prone, 4 times prone to committing suicide compared to women. And so that is really a big concern, John.
That's
what do you
true.
take out of that?
That's true.
Yes.
Of course, that's how things are. Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate that we lose quite a high number of men to suicide. Mm. And actually, depression has been one, of course, depression is the key lead to suicide cases.
Depression, yes.
So we have depression being one of the many conditions that they are leading in deaths.
Yes.
And looking at that, personally, I would relate that to now when we talk about depression, unlike other forms of diseases, depression is more of a socio-psychological.
Socio-psychological.
Yes. Unlike other diseases which are, viral, they are bacterial.
Yes.
So the cause is more socio-oriented. And the problem is, of course, it's what we would term as the burden. the burden that men do have.
The burden that men do have.
Yes. Wow. And when we talk about this being psychological, that is socio and psychological, when we talk about socio,
yes,
it goes back to our society settings, and it goes way back to parenting. You know, there is that aspect of parenting and the society role in parenting.
Okay.
Whereby you realize that men always have to fight their battles alone. You know, men don't cry.
So we are told.
So we are told.
Yes.
And we became a product of, you know, everybody is a product of what they had.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, everyone is a product of what they had.
Yes.
Somebody told you that you can do this and you did it.
Yes.
Somebody told you you can make it and you made it. Yeah?
Yes. Yes.
Somebody told you education is the key.
Yes.
to a good life.
Yes.
And you pursued that education.
Yes.
So, so right from our social way of parenting and bringing up young boys, that's where we have a challenge, because like now we say that men don't talk. You know, you've just talked to Dr. And by the way, just to say, I had a lot of fight with that guy called Investor Moss. You know, he really wanted to be here. But I told him, no, we are doing serious matters, yeah? You know him with the kiberebere yake. So I want to just respond to Daktari that it's John who is here. Okay. And so I've heard her talk about women are always receptive to information. Sure. They receive information actually very fast, and they act to that information.
Yes.
So when you tell ladies to go even for a test, you know, ladies will always talk their issues out. Yeah? And that's one thing.
Okay.
So to me,
yes. One thing, the fact that how the society has molded us, and the fact that we're not, you know, speaking out about the issue that we are going through.
Yes.
Maybe before I come back to you, I'd love to hear from, my brother Simon here. Simon, I know you've listened to those statistics, and maybe tell us what you think about those statistics. Something encouraging?
James, as you have said,
yes,
the statistics don't lie.
Yes.
And that is the fact. In our Kenyan setup and generally in the global setup,
yes,
the suicide rates for men are very high.
Very high, yes.
70 to 80% it's men. And it is very, very much worrying when you see such a big group of population, more so men. You know, men, there are very many people, there are very many people who are looking up to men for help, for any financial assistance and all that. So in the economic aspect, in the social aspect, it's a great burden to the community. Because men are the leaders in the society. And now here comes this notion that men do not cry.
Men do not cry.
And men are strong. So if you are strong, you have to be strong. And in the process of becoming strong, you are depressed. You have mental issues. You have health issues that you are afraid to speak up.
Okay.
So you see, that's a great burden to the society. Once you hit the men, the family comes crumbling. Men are more so mentors. So there are very many people looking at men. So once they are hit with the depression and all those mental illnesses, it's a great burden to the society and to the whole community.
You've said something very important that will drive to the next point, that, you know, the society is looking up to men. And if the men are depressed, it means that we won't have, you know, stable families. Now, we as men, we take care of our families. We have our children. We take care of our children. But then maybe John, maybe you can. Who takes care of men?
Well, and that's why we are talking about our social setup. Needs a bit of revisiting. And in this case, we are not running away from the matters of faith. We know men were created, of course, they were the first to be created. Adam was created first, then Eve. and there is a lot to borrow from that.
Yes.
And if you look at it, then the answer to your question, those people who take care of men, or who do men run to?
Yes.
Now, because you have a society that says men don't cry. And you see, one aspect that leads to depression for most people is the fear of failure and letting people down. These guys are, these men will look, they will fear failing people.
Yes.
Actually, they don't commit suicide for themselves. No. The pressure, like Simon is saying, the pressure that is there to make sure that a man needs to be a man. You have to be a man. But I think our social setup needs to be revisited and show people the way. Okay, of course, men have a responsibility biblically. They have a huge responsibility.
Yes.
Nevertheless, we also need to understand that men are also humans. And they also have feelings.
Sure.
And actually, even if now that if Dr. was here, we would define, depression as, it's a mood issue.
Emotions.
Yes, you cannot define depression without talking about mood changes and feelings, and so it's emotion. Yeah, and one thing that the society takes away from man is the emotion. Is the emotion. So when they try to take away that from this human being, then there is nowhere else they can run unto. So for them who are in faith, of course we know they run to God. Because biblically, when God created Adam, the Bible says he used to visit him. There was a communion. There was a relationship. Remember, this guy was created. He didn't have know-how of how things ought to be done. So he depended on God. And you see now, there is the introduction of that aspect of a relationship. So to still answer your question in terms of who takes care of men, that the relationship aspect is very key. And when I talk about relationship, I'm borrowing from the Bible, the story of creation. At the same time, I'm talking about relationship between parents and their young, boys. When they are raising their sons. I'm talking about the society, how they relate to the boy child. I'm talking about friends. There is all those aspects. And maybe, I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yes, you are.
But there is a lot of combination. There is a form of combination, a relationship combination that men have to have as they are, to back them up. Because being a man is not easy.
It's not easy.
Yes.
So I think what you're saying is that men ought not to alienate themselves, but find themselves in a relationship.
Yes.
And one of the relationship is that, for example, in a church setting.
Yes.
That's a very strong kind of a relationship.
Yes.
John, maybe still on it, and maybe I would love to Simon to help. Basically, when we are so much things are happening in our societies. We have some pressure in our families. There are issues that need to be dealt with in our families. What do? We call our friends and we go for nyamcho. Or maybe for those who know some other guys will go and start drinking themselves. So how do we let ourselves? For example, I know you can even tell us, Simon, do you experience some pressure? Maybe from work, from family, from the society, and how do you let these, how do you let your pressure out?
Okay, James, the issue of mental health among men is an issue that has not been brought to the light for quite some time. And I'm happy that now organizations are coming up. For instance, this is the month of November. I think there's that aspect of not shaming and all that. But now this is the time it's coming up. But earlier on, and even for instance, as an example to me, I am a family man. I have a wife and a daughter. You see that the pressure that you are carrying, I'm carrying, is too heavy for me to bear. And if I am reserved, as many men are, you know, as Dr. Frida was saying that women are good in communication. They speak it out. But for us men, we are most of the time reserved. If I have set my goals very high, I have a group of friends that we are checking each other. I have set my goals very high. I have not gotten that time to be realistic. Is this goal achievable? So if it's not achievable and I'm having my friends here, they are doing things, they are achieving their goals, I'll have that pressure. And mind you, I have no person or no organization that I go to talk to or to let out what is in me. Because I'm reserved, I don't talk much. I'm at work, I am full of depression because of issues in the job place. You have issues with your bosses, you have issues with your juniors, you have pressure at work. So you will find that I'm coming back to the family, I'm not talking to my wife, I'm so much irritated. Just my daughter comes and tells something, I'm so much irritated. I'm not even talking to my wife, or she says something, I'll get emotional very fast. You see? And mind you, many men are not aware that they are suffering of a mental illness. You see them that they are not even getting sleep. Or even they are sleeping too much. They are oversleeping. You see? And they are not even aware that they are suffering from depression. So for men to bring it out, instead of engaging to what they call self-medication, self-check. You see people getting into alcohol. And you see some, most men get into drug abuse, going for nyamchom, knowing very well it leads to cancer. That because of that, they are just trying to bring it out, the weight they are carrying on their shoulders. So that is how many men are bringing it out. But as we will see in this discussion, that there are other better ways
of doing it,
of bringing out that depression, that mental heaviness, that burden, the pressure you are carrying for your own good. And I can take this chance to tell you this, James, and men watching us, following us live, that yes, we may talk of the society bringing up, as very well our my colleague has said, that our bringing up is very much alienating men from coming out, speaking their issues.
Their voices is kind of drowned.
It's drowned. You are told you are not strong, but we need now to come up as men and realize that speaking out is a strength in itself.
It's a strength.
And we should take responsibility of our own health and those who are looking up on us. I told you that once men are hit, the whole community is hit.
That's true.
Because we are the pillar. And we are representative of God in this world.
In the world.
We are protectors of our family. We are providers of the peace for men.
Wow.
Once we are hit, we are done.
Amazing.
So we need to take responsibility and now start coming up, join movements. Think about some better way you can relieve your pressures to help yourself, to help your family, relatives who are looking up on you, and the whole community. So we need to come up with that.
We need to come out, yes. I think that takes us to the next kind of point, John, I would love us to think about. How can we help, other men? What outlets? If a man somewhere is feeling so much depressed, if a man somewhere feels there's too much pressure on him, and what can we do? Are there some systems that we can establish? Are there systems that are there that can help men?
I think, James, even before we get to that person who is already depressed, I think it's everybody's responsibility as a man or even as a woman to know that any man can be or can find themselves in depression. Because at times we have people just assuming it's a certain kind of people who can get it. And I think if we all have that realization, then one, we stop and help people not getting there. Because that would be the easiest of them all.
Yes.
And one way, like he's talking about how people set goals. And he has highlighted in terms of me as John need to understand that it is my responsibility to make sure that I live a healthy life.
Yes.
And I do what's supposed to be done, not just for me, but even for them that are looking up to me, the family that I have, the friends that I have.
Yes.
When we talk about setting goals, because actually that's one key avenues why people go to depression is because some of the people will set unrealistic goals.
Goals, okay.
And in that case, you realize that those people they are living a lie, as in they are not living the way they are supposed to. So they set very unrealistic goals, so they cannot achieve them, so that may lead to depression. Number two, even when we comes to the people who surround us, because at least God has given us a chance, we can choose friends. Of course, everybody needs to be our friends, but we can choose those people who are really close to us.
Yes.
And I think that's one area that men has really failed. Because a close friend is not just anybody. This ought to be a person who can understand you and a person you can be very free with.
Yes, sure.
And it's a two-way traffic. I think even us, we also need to be responsible friends.
Responsible friends.
Asking yourself of how responsible are you as a friend to James? Because you also realize that if at times even those people you consider as friends, there comes a time you are also not very sure how they will react to what you say. So it is very safe for somebody to surround themselves with true friends. People who can actually tell something is wrong even when you've not spoken.
Yes.
We don't need friends who are always up to nyamachoma, you know.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not saying nyamachoma is bad. Of course, well, nyamachoma, we do eat nyamachoma, but it's the excess of it that is wrong.
Yes.
So we don't just need friends who are up to just having fun with us.
Yes.
We need to have friends who care about who we are.
Yes.
People who care about our purpose. It is very important.
Yes.
So for them that are already finding themselves into depression, I think the best thing somebody to realize is that we have to appreciate that we are humans. We have to appreciate that failure is part of this life. You know, when you were beginning Convo, the first show I remember you dealt about fear.
Yes.
And you see, this is something that really participates when it comes to people getting into depression and, into suicide.
Yes.
So I think what we need to know is that God has created us and given us different capabilities.
Yes.
And number two, we need to compete with our own capability. That now solves the question of setting too high goals, the question of what people will think about this, caring too much about what people will say. We must come to the aspect of, if God has given me an ability of 8,
yes,
and he has given Simon an ability of 15.
Yes.
If I do my 8, and let me not give an example with Simon, and somebody else who is given 15 does 14, it means I'm good.
Yes.
Because I've done my 8. But the other person who was supposed to achieve 15 and they got 10, that's their own problem.
Yes, sure.
Because my best may be somebody else fair.
Yes.
Or even poor. So I think it goes back to realizing, who are you?
It's being more realistic.
Be more realistic.
Yes.
You should not
Don't
be
compete.
Yes. Don't be apologetic when you fail. As in, the issue is not failing. The issue is what you do after you fail.
Yes.
And that person who is at this moment into depression and thinking, all is lost and all is gone. We just need to tell them that's part of life.
Yes.
Challenges are there so that they can make champions. And at times, challenges will never qualify to be a challenge if they don't challenge you.
Sure.
So even what that you are considering as a failure, as a letdown,
yes,
there's still another chance to do much better than you did before.
Wow. So I think that's an awakening call.
Yes.
That yes, there's some things that yes, we are failing, but we didn't do according to maybe, and some of these things, John, you're saying is about the society's expectation of us.
That's true.
And sometimes when we miss the mark, when we didn't give our 15, like you're saying,
yes,
we gave our 10,
yes,
we feel no, we were not supposed to give our 10, we didn't, and that kind of feeling that I'm inadequate.
Yes.
I didn't get to what, the definition of success by the society.
That's true.
That thing depresses me and it, alienates me.
And you see, James, you see, that's what really, even, our society has really, absorbed in terms of people do things because of other people.
Yes.
And that's something we need to come out of. We don't live because of others. We live because of God.
Yes.
So what we need to concentrate on is the purpose that God has in our lives. And that's what is key.
That's what's key.
And even if it's failure, that failure, the person who needs to sort it out, it is between me and God.
If you may not catch anything on this show, catch that you live for God.
Yes.
You live because of God.
The purpose that God has over your life.
God has ordained in your life.
Yes.
That's huge.
We have people who cannot make a step in their life because of what people will say.
Will say, yeah, sure.
There are people who don't do weddings because they don't have money to cook for people to eat.
And that depresses them.
And you see, even if you cook a lot for people, they'll say, actually, you are very extravagant. Yes. So in other words, if you don't cook for them, they say you are very unenjoyable.
Yes.
In other words, what I want to say is people will have something to say.
Yes.
Whether you do good or you do bad.
Yes.
So it's high time for men especially to know that you are created for a purpose. And that purpose is in God.
Yes.
And it is at that aspect of following that purpose that you meet God.
Yes.
And if you cannot cry in front of your wife, then you can cry in front of God.
Sure. I like that. That's strong.
Yes.
Because we are told we should not cry.
Yes.
And actually, crying is not a weakness.
It's not a weakness.
And if you can't cry in front of people, go on and kneel down.
Exactly.
And cry in front.
We need to have that time with God because remember, we have to get back to the setting, the factory settings. And those settings are only with God.
Yes.
So I want to encourage, because of especially the African setup, which now we are really pleading and appealing to parents and the society when we have young boys coming up. We need to, show them the right way of handling issues in life. But for us who underwent that, and probably still today I may not cry in front of my mother, then I should need to have time and cry before God. Break before Him, as in you, and tell Him, God, this is what is happening to my life. I need you to reset me again.
And John, maybe before I go to Simon, what I'm getting from you is that we need to be more realistic with our lives.
Sure.
And I don't know, Simon, what do you feel about this culture of, comparing ourselves with, other people? But we left high school with so-and-so. Now look, he's driving, he's living a good life. Look at his photos on Instagram. And then here I am, feel like my shoe, I only have one shoe. What would you say about that?
Okay, James, that is a major source of depression among comparing yourself to your peers. High school, this person is way far before me.
Yes.
But as John is saying, in every crisis, God brings wisdom to overcome every crisis.
Yes.
And you see many men, especially the young men, or at our age, it's that comparing with with our peers, our colleagues.
Yes.
But we forget that we have our own lives. We have what God has given us and told us as our unique potential.
Sure.
And the many people that are looking up on John, yes, they are looking up on him, but there are others who are looking up on him. His family is relying on him. But for me, I have my family who are relying on me. So I should not compare myself to him because I have my future to live. And you see that is what is ailing most of men. And number one cause of depression is financial crisis, leave alone relational issues. Yes, it is because of finances that people engage to drug abuse, to drain their stress, their depressions. But you young men, you are thinking of committing suicide, you are having depression, you are forgetting that you have a life to live. Your capability, your potential that God has given you is different with that person you think you scold with and is way before you. You have your own potential. You should take your life as your life and know that there are people who are looking up on me. And somebody told me that you should always know that there are people who are looking at you as their Bible.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So the way you are carrying yourself as a man speaks volumes. Yes. If I'm comparing myself to you, John or James, you are far than where I think I am not, it's my own problem. They will continue, their families will continue, but my family is struggling. Instead of thinking of how I can build my financial muscles, I'm now starting to compare myself with others. So we should think as men on our own potential, on our capabilities. What can I do as Simon? What can I achieve as Simon? And once I think about it, I will be able to set goals that are realistic to me. I won't set goals that John is setting so that I can be like them. Because I accept myself, this is what I can do. This is the far I can go. That we need to come there to that position as men, to stand and believe in ourselves, believe in God, as John has told us that if I cannot cry before my wife, at least I can talk to God, who is the owner of everything. He is the one who gives wisdom. He is the one who gives us potential. If I go to him, he will give it to me. And now I will be able to pull myself together and come up with realistic goals that I can achieve. Yes.
Wow, amazing. Because of interest of time, that I think time has really gone, and this conversation can actually go on and on and on. I just want to ask John, and maybe I'll still come back to Simon briefly. I want John to look at that camera and speak to a young man out there, who feel that it's too much. I don't seem to make ends meet. I'm trying to go to college, it's not happening. I'm trying to look for money, it's not working. Jobs, even young men, their families, it's too thick. So is there hope, John, for someone like that?
Yeah, of course, James, there is hope.
Yes.
And I want to talk to someone who is actually watching or will be watching later, and tell them we live in a world that is a battlefield.
Yes.
And everybody actually is fighting something. And Simon has raised the issue of the finance. Finances are one of the leading aspects that young people or men go into depression because maybe they cannot be able to do what they are supposed to do. But what I have learned with the few years that God has given me is that it will never be enough. I've interacted with people who have money and I've looked at their lives. But the truth of the matter is they may not be fighting the issue of money, but they are fighting something else. What God does is he knows where you are at. And at whatever stage you are at, there is a reason as to why. And the good thing is that God will always provide a way of seeing you through. It only gets worse when we trust on our own might. And actually the things that really bring people to depression, they are the things that are beyond our ability, actually.
Yes.
And you see, those are the things that, there's nothing you could have done about it.
Sure.
But they lead people into depression. And there's one motto that has really helped me in life, especially when it comes to the matters of faith, is that hard thing that is beyond my ability, it is the easiest for me. Do you know why? Because I just need to take it to God. What I need to do out of that thing that appears impossible to me is to take it to God. It's not to try and do something about it. Because of course you can't lie to yourself. You know you've come to the end of it all. So the best thing you can do is just get down on your knees. And for those things that we are able to do, then those are the things that we need to focus on. What you can be able to do.
Yes, I like that, John.
Yes.
What you're able to do, focus on that.
Focus on that. What you are not able to do, then just let God know. You see, when the Bible, that is Paul speaking to Philippians in the book of Philippians 4, when he talks about be anxious of nothing, but in everything,
and
in prayer, supplication, and with thanksgiving.
And everything known be to God.
Exactly. So it is in everything. When it's at good times,
And bad times.
when it's at bad times, that's what you need to do. So one, having faith in God, it's something that we cannot just talk about what next without telling people. It is having faith in God that will see you through to the next stage, knowing it's not by your own might. It's not by your own strength, but trusting that God will be able to see you through that situation is the strength that you need, because people may not understand you. Your schoolmates, your friends, your family may not understand you, but God understands what you are going through.
Wow. That's huge.
Yes.
That's huge. I will just come to Simon. Simon, I don't know, your parting shot. Maybe something you can tell that young man there who is struggling. Tell them that they're not supposed to be lone rangers.
Exactly, James. What I can tell, especially most young men, most of our age, John, that there is always hope for a better tomorrow. And you young men, you cannot carry the whole world on your shoulders and make it. So the best thing is identify your potential. Do what you can do, the rest leave it to God. Because you may take everything, but at the end of it all, you lose everything. And once you lose your family, you lose yourself to drugs, to pornography, you lose yourself to careless living. You have lost it all. And as a man, you have responsibility. As a man, you are the pillar of your family and of your society. If you fail to take care of your family and more so of yourself, we are losing the battle. And we can win this battle of mental health issues and depression among men. First, realize what you can achieve. The rest, leave it to God. Another thing, ensure you are monitoring yourself. If you see that you are getting irritated very fast, James, you find that you are not even responding to your kid, your peers, you are always wanting to be a lone ranger, know there is a problem, and try and find help.
Wow.
Please, young men, find help. If you keep quiet, you will die alone. And if you die, your seed has gone like that. But you have a future. You have a life to live. Identify what you are ailing from, be it depressions. Know that it will lead to other illnesses. Other long-term illnesses come from such depressions. Cancer is part of it. If you are much stressed, depressed, it may lead to that. Sure. And more so, it may lead to suicide. Suicide is, its rate, as you gave us statistics, is very high. We can avoid it. Avoid being a lone ranger. If you find a group of men talking about health issues, that should be your number one group to join. Yes. And I would advise all men, regardless of your age, join a group that talks about men health. That is why you will know about testicle cancer, you will know about prostate cancer, you will know about breast cancer, and you'll know what to do. If you don't know, if you are living in ignorance, it will eat on you. But if you know, you can do something. And once you realize that you have issues, apart from joining those groups, know your spiritual leader. Try and find help from your spiritual leader, and they will guide you. And the more you speak it out, the more you get help. Women, as men, it's very rare to speak it out. But if you have some people you can speak to, please speak to them. And if you don't have, go and look for people you can speak it out to them, and you will start the process of healing. If you have depression, other issues will come. Schizophrenia is one of them. There are, you will find you are living in anxiety. Reckless driving, James, comes from depression. It leads to killing not only of yourself, you may kill even your family. So depression is something that is real, men. Let us talk about it. Let us bring it to the light and let us address it, and it will be better for men. We are the pillars in the society. We are the pillars in the community, and many people are looking up on us. Let us not fail them, but help each and every young man or old man and our boys in growing up, knowing that speaking out is not a weakness. Speaking about our crime, it's not a weakness. If you speak it out, it shows you have the resolve to forge and to have a life that is meaningful.
Wow, you had it. You had it. Before I go to Frida, you know, wow, John, this conversation, it can continue.
It can continue. Much. And I know we are winding up. But just a second, let me say this. There's a story that was done by BBC that should be last year. And for them, they were really focusing on suicide for men who are actually young fathers. You know, those who have young families. And actually where I come from, that is Nyandarua County, was leading on those cases. And I remember the person who saw that story actually is one of my good friend and my lecturer called Madam Joyce, who actually forwarded that link to me and asked me, John, what is happening? You know, what is happening to young men? And like Simon has consistently stated that mostly this comes from the act of the responsibility. But I want to remind a young father who is watching and telling them, yes, at this point, it may seem like you are let down. And mostly that depression may come out because things are not working out and you think your wife or your children are better off without you, which that's a lie from hell. You know, your wife and your children needs you more being present, even before we get to you providing what other things that needs to be provided. The primary responsibility that you have is to be there for your children so that you can be able to instill the right values. You can be able to show them. You can be able to teach them. That is the primary, you know, a responsibility that you have. Provision, you know, provision is there, yes, but that's not a good reason for you to kill yourself or commit suicide because maybe you cannot do it. Just talk. And even right now in this conversation, James, I think if somebody is going through that and those challenges, I think they are free to talk to us through this channel. Yeah, because if it's food, for us who God have blessed with, we can be able to talk. Mimi James siwezi kaja na ninajua naweza kula kwako.
You just call and or you just
nakwambia James huku ni kunoma. You know, So we can be able to do that. So in other words, what I'm saying is the talking aspect. Food should not be an issue that to lead somebody to depression.
Yes.
Talk to your fellow men, but still goes back to have the right people. Invest in the right friends.
Right people.
Because
right
it's not everybody
yes.
can be a close friend to
yes.
you.
Yes.
So that is very key. Who do you surround yourself?
That is very key.
Yes.
Whom do you surround yourself with?
Yeah.
Wow, Frida. Wow.
I'm right here.
You're there.
I'm here.
You had the conversation.
Hey, what a beautiful way to end the month, you know.
Wow, yes.
This is such a
yes.
good conversation.
Yes.
And I'm sure you guys have a lot more to share, but
Sure.
time.
Yes.
Time
We
is-
could go on and on and on.
Yeah, the
Yes.
way I've heard John and Simon, they have a lot to share.
Yes.
But we don't have a lot of time.
Yes.
But maybe you could just allow me to appreciate those that are watching
Sure,
us.
sure. I know we have quite a number.
We
of
have
people
quite a
online.
number of people that are online right now.
Yes.
And one of them is Purity Njoki.
Whoa. Okay.
She's watching and she says, "Papas, wow, that's awesome."
Yes.
Thank you, Purity, for watching. We want you to know that we love you and we appreciate you. Achieng Mwangi is watching. She says, "It's high time we let go of the African kind of thinking.
Yes.
Men are human and we need to admit that it is okay for a man to break down
Sure.
and admit that, yes, I need help."
Yeah, sure.
That is true. It is
Wow.
very okay for a man to seek for help.
Yes.
And then we have Simon Buru saying, "Speaking out is not a weakness." Thiga D. Kanake is tuned in. He says, "Great talk here."
Yes.
And we have John Bao, we have Kelly Dafton following closely and learning at the same time. We have Miriam Dirangos who says, "I think the notion of men don't cry and they are strong is affecting our society day by day,
Yes.
putting in mind that boy child always looks after the man figure, father figure
Yes.
for guidance and mentorship. It is important to keep encouraging we men to not to be quiet." I
Yes.
love this discussion so much. Thank
Wow.
you so much for tuning in. And I have many more people that are watching.
Yes.
I have Felix who has been ranting about nyama choma. I think Felix Investor Mas says you need friends who are not only thinking about nyama choma all the time. But he says, "I also think some men are careless with their health. We are a product of what we allow. So if we are careless and allow bad stuff into our lives, depression will be inevitable."
Yes.
Also have friends that are a refuge, not ones that are a burden in your life. Thank you, James, John, Simon, and the crew for this show. God bless you. God bless Convo. Amen. Njoki Joyce is tuned in. She says, she responded to Felix about the nyama choma thing. Look at Njoki. Joyce is a nutritionist, so Felix, you better listen to her. She says,
Yes.
"Very true. Let's not live in ignorance." We want to let you know, guys, that we appreciate all of you. I may not mention all of you that are tuned in, but
Yes.
we want to let you know that James and I are really grateful for the support, for the comments, and for all the love that you've shown us. And we are looking forward to interact with you more. If you have a question, you can reach out to us. We have our pages, James Wetu and Dr. Washira Frida. You can reach out to us, write us a message in our inbox, and also you can also reach out to us through Life of God broadcast. And if anything, if you want to, as John said, John haezi lala njaa.
Siwezi.
Hawezi.
It's not even allowed.
It's not even allowed. And food should not be something that leads anyone to depression. Speak out, you know. And I read somewhere today that man is only as good as his social capital. So it's very important for you guys to keep building friendships
Yes.
that are important, friendships that challenge you, friends that pray with you.
Yes.
And now I want to appreciate the 3 men on the panel.
Sure,
Thank you so much, guys, for having this conversation. It's very important. Many people don't want to talk about these issues, but you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for the wisdom you've shared. May God continue to watch over you guys. We need you so much. So may God continue watching over you and blessing you. And I want to end this show here. Because if I keep talking, James will remember something and start talking. And because time is gone, allow us to end the show.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to appreciate the Rosa Media and Manuel Consultants and Trainers. Thank you so much for giving us ideas and letting us get our content out there. And God bless you until next time. Bye-bye.
Wow.
You are watching The Convo with Dr. Frida and James Wetu. Convo, encouraging conversation that matter.